How much? I need flock for an upcoming project. Buying it from craft stores is pricey, and while there's cheaper options online, I think I can do one better. The base of my flock will be this really fine sawdust. If you know anyone that does woodwork, this will be really easy to get. I already have these liquid pigments from past crafts, and you can use these or food colouring or even thinned down paint. These pigments seem to work the best for achieving stronger colours, and they're pretty affordable. I'll leave a link down below. I'm going to select some greens for a grassy or mossy flock, and I'll also pick out some brighter colours and the black for now. These silicone cupcake cases are my go-to for mixing small amounts of flock, super easy to clean and reusable, but really you could use any small container. I tip a small amount of the sawdust into a case, and you'll be surprised how much flock you can get from a relatively small amount of sawdust. I then proceed to pick up and try to use the only green I haven't opened yet, so I'll put that one to one side and use the already open ones. These pigment bottles are great for dropping small amounts of colour. You can always add more later, so my advice is to start with a few drops, mix through, and then adjust based on what you want in the final product. For mixing, I use these coffee stirrers. For smaller amounts you could use toothpicks, but you could just use a small spoon. To get an even mix, I'm smushing the areas that are more coloured into the rest of the flock. Once it's mostly mixed in, you can change to a normal mixing technique. It can take quite a bit of time to be evenly distributed, but it will get there eventually. The less colour you add, the drier the mixture will stay, and usually that means it will mix together better. The downside of this sawdust is that the particles won't be a uniform size, and there may be other stuff like dust or fluff mixed in. You can always sieve it to get the fine dust out, but I'm just going to use it as is. The colour won't be entirely even like it is with shop bought flock, but I quite like the different shades and I think it adds an extra dimension. I'm going to go ahead and mix up a pink mix, which I think works well for flowers, and another green, and for the final one I'm going to try and make a sort of gravel flock with black and white pigments. After a lot more mixing, here are what the flocks look like. The grey didn't work out too well, but I thought it's a good example of what happens when you add too much liquid. The flock gets too wet and starts clumping together. This can actually be used to your advantage if you want a more rocky texture. Once the flock has dried out, you can mix different flocks together in a blend. For example, I can mix these greens and this pink to create a sort of flower meadow flock. One use for my homemade flock has been these zombie-side miniatures. I think that having a textured base is just more appealing than a plain plastic one. I have found that the easiest way to store your flock is these sealable bags. It stops moisture getting in, they're affordable and easy to store. Let me know if you have any flocking hints or tips in the comments below. I will be using some of this flock in a project very soon, so be sure to subscribe and stay tuned, and as always, thanks for watching.